I've got an absolutely battered Les Paul Classic. This is 16 years old, and it's had a life. And you are currently thinking, oh my God, this is another Daily Guitar Draw, Dorset Guitar Museum video where Ben's going to try and sell us tickets. And you're right. But I had a conversation. I spent a few days with Trev Wilkinson, who is so incredibly cool and just blew my mind on many fronts. And looking at this guitar reminded me of a snippet in the multitudinous subjects that we covered. We're both basically the same person, moving from subject to subject to subject to subject, and most of it guitar related, very rapidly. It makes a change for me to be the person trying to bring us back round to a subject that we were talking about earlier. It's very weird, but interesting. I apologise, by the way, if I ever had a conversation with you, because I now know what it feels like. We were looking at this guitar and thinking, look, it's incredibly cool. Is there a video in it? Is there any way that we could, talk about it on the channel and hopefully, hopefully get some people to buy some tickets to win it and to own it and love it. But who wants to buy and own tickets for such a battered old thing? First of all, it does belong to heavy metal or British heavy metal royalty, 70s and 80s band Saxon. This belongs to the singer, not the guitarist, but has been heavily gigged and toured and played. But that's not the interesting thing, and I'm going to move on to the thought now. I think that Trev Wilkinson is right in saying that Gibson do not currently make their Les Pauls properly. This has been sort of percolating since I had the conversation, and it really has. Defined properly, there's a thousand ways to build anything. There's a thousand ways to do anything, but Gibson say that they do things the old way, to the point of building in seriously bad problems into their guitars. We don't have a volute on this instrument, okay? So you've got a very, very delicate neck joint here, okay? Which is okay. They say they don't put the volute in because this is the way it's always been done, and it is. They say that they choose this neck break angle, which I think is 18 degrees on the headstock here. Okay, most neck break angles on most guitars that I build are set at 12, 13 degrees if you've got a fixed bridge, and 10 degrees or maybe even less if you're using a trem system, because you don't want to have your strings moving over anything more than that. We've got a 16 or an 18, I think it's 18 degree headstock break angle on here, meaning that I've got a hell of a lot of short grain here. I also don't have a volute, so when I drop this guitar, the headstock is almost certainly going to snap. In fact, I had a live stream where I opened a Gibson Les Paul that had just been shipped to us, and it arrived with a snapped headstock. It was perfectly packed in a case, in a box with wrapping, all that sort of stuff. The fact that it was shipped with its strings still at tension, and somebody in the packing department dropped the box on its end like that, snapped the headstock clean off, and it was a damn beautiful Les Paul as well. You've got this short grain. The lack of the volute is only part of the problem, and most people don't talk about the angle, but that's not even what I'm talking about. Gibson still do this because it's traditional, and we don't want to do anything that's not traditional. I think that the way they currently make their necks, the way that they currently, the construction technique, the construction timeline for how they make their necks, I think they're doing it wrong. I think they're not doing it the way it used to be done in the factory. If you have factory tours from the sort of 50s and 60s, please, seriously, scour the internet, look for them, and let me know if you can. Please, I want to see this. I've looked, I can't find anything. Here's the thing, let's zoom in on the guitar and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, it is all about the neck joint. It is all about the fretboard and how they go about this process. Now, if you go and watch factory tours now, they build the whole neck, and then after the fact they go in and they sand the inside of the tenon. If they need to fit it, they sand the back and they sort of go, and the top of the fretboard is sitting on the body, and they sort of get that right with a lot of fiddling and finessing and messing around where possible. And oftentimes you end up with pretty egregious quality control issues. I once took a well, I think it was a Les Paul Standard actually, and I did the Alex Lifeson mod where I carved away for a customer the back of the I basically carved an all-access neck joint here, and when I got into the area of the tenon, there was a 2mm gap with nothing, not even glue. They hadn't put enough glue in to even fill the gap, and that went right from the neck right down to the end. I could put my spatula, my palette knife, spatula. I could put my palette knife all the way to the inside of the neck pocket. It is horrific, and you know, it sounded like a Les Paul, it sounded like a Gibson, and it is what it is. If you go back to the 1950s, Gibson are a company based on traditional luthiery. They are a company with master guitar builders, master acoustic guitar builders who build archtop jazz guitars in a traditional manner. These people are not going to, they're not going to leave a 2mm gap at the back of the neck. They are not going to make things difficult for themselves. They're not, this is not production line sort of Ford motor car kind of, you know, lowest common denominator manufacturing. These are people who genuinely care about what they make. And I've played 59 Les Pauls, and they are every bit as cool. They are genuinely incredible. Part of it is the age, part of it is the finishes, part of it is the wood, but there is a quality that was built in there. Okay, so now a luthier at that time is not going to glue the fretboard on and then fit the neck into the pocket and sort of fiddle around until you've got the right break angle. The luthier at that time is going to take the neck without the fretboard, okay? And at that point, when it is easy, when you don't have the fretboard in your way, you are going to fit it, because you can get all the way around, absolutely no worries whatsoever. You can easily get in, and you can set the angle. You can set the break angle. Now, we can mathematically figure out how thick the fretboard is going to be and where it's going to hit when it hits our bridge. And at that point, they could potentially also have sat there with a hand plane and actually planed in this area of the top where it lines up perfectly with the fretboard. So you're not only fitting the neck, you're setting the break angle in the body and making sure that everything is absolutely copacetic and spot on. I genuinely think that is how they built them. Even today, Gibson put all of the inlays, put all of the frets, the radiusing, all of that jazz, the nibs, that gets done before the fretboard is glued to the neck. The only difference is that they're gluing it to the neck and then fitting the neck to the body. I think that that's wrong. I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Fight me, prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong or prove me right. I would love to know. In my mind, I should really turn my phone off when I'm filming a video. In my mind, this is the way. Now, back to Daily Guitar Drawer, Dorset Guitar Museum. This is a guitar owned by the front man of the massive 80s British heavy metal behemoth that is Saxon. and well, it could be yours. Any profits from this are going to help set up the Dorset Guitar Museum, which we are about to actually start building walls for here. And yeah, it's going to be incredible. So yeah, I would appreciate both your comments and your support if that is possible. I've worked myself up into somewhat of a tizzy, and I think I need to go and sit in a quiet corner with some coffee. So I'm going to say good night, goodbye, thank you for watching, click like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Catch you on the flip side. Goodbye.